Shout out Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey. Welcome, y'all. It's so funny because I'm trying to really, let me back up. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to the show. Let's just get into it. So I'm really trying to get to a place of being more ahead with my recording. So it's actually meaning I'm recording more and getting more into where I was when I first started the show, of having like backlogs of episodes and just editing them. And the reason being is that I don't have two shows, but in a sense, it's like I have this other series and whatever, and just trying to have better things in place and better, habits and rhythms and whatever, so that I can just do the things that I feel like I want to do. And so with that, I've noticed that I set in my mind that I was going to record today because I'm off today. And then how I feel right now, the only thing that there is to talk about, there's I don't even know if I want to talk about it, but it is what it is. The last few weeks have been really, really interesting in regards to just being triggered of a lot of past pain. And I don't even know. I can't even say it's past pain. It's stuff that I didn't even really realize was there. A lot of that has bubbled to the surface. And it's been so interesting because what I've noticed in my life is there will be different people that are like a mirror of whatever. And it's not necessarily them telling me something about myself, out of their mouth, maybe. But a lot of times it's just as I interact with these different people, the way that I respond or maybe what I feel. And then sometimes the pain that's still there that is reflected, and I get the revelation of that. It's really interesting how that has kind of bubbled to the surface lately. And I say this often more recently. There's levels and there's layers to everything. And man, it's on this journey with healing, which, man, shout out to all of y'all who listen, because this show has been such a huge part of that. Don't get me wrong. I love all the fun episodes that I do. I love, I'm loving the series that I'm doing with Eric. Shout out to him. But at the end of the day, I will never stop doing solo episodes ever. There will never come a time where I will not have a space that's just for me to talk and to reflect and whatever, because this has been very instrumental in just me processing my life and whatever. Don't get me wrong. I journal, I pray, and I do a lot of the deeper, more painful work by myself. Mind you, earlier, maybe a couple hours ago, I was sitting with the Lord, just weeping and just letting go of some stuff that he was telling me to let go of. So this isn't my therapy. However, this is a part of me processing my life and kind of talking different things out, and also hopefully being helpful to those of you that listen and maybe can relate to what I'm saying, even though I'm never extremely specific about things. And that's on purpose, because I don't want you to get lost in the story and not feel like it's relatable. You know what I mean? But it's really interesting because there has been just a lot in me that, my gosh, I am someone who is pretty self-aware, and I am someone who is very intentional about wanting to be healthy and wanting to be spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, all those things, just like whole, even life though be life in. And it's like, I just realized more recently, actually today, because of an interaction that I had with someone where we were talking, and it's kind of like I felt like they were kind of short with me, and my response was to shrink back. I can't even, it's not like they cussed me out or anything crazy like that. It's more so their tone. And I just felt like I was being cut off, which is actually a huge pet peeve of mine, because it's like, I am very much someone who I will listen, I will whatever, so that you can be heard. And when I feel like I'm not heard, that's a huge pet peeve of mine. But what I noticed, and this hasn't happened in a long time, is that I like shrunk back and I shut down, and I, finished the conversation, but like more quickly than I had initially intended to. And then I just and this happened today, right? And then I just realized that, I don't talk a lot about my marriage to my ex-husband, because since the inception of this podcast, he's been dead already. And so it's just kind of like, sometimes, even though my kids are very well aware of what happened and just, different things like that, because they were there's just a lot that I don't always talk about on here. But what I will say is that this conversation actually triggered me back to a place of not feeling heard, to a place of not feeling like I have a voice, to a place of shrinking back and shutting down, instead of actually being like, hey, like, let me finish, or whatever. And then I'm like, okay, so this interaction is a mirror that, man, there's more healing to be done there. And it's wild. It's wild how there's always more, like, and I'm not saying that in a hopeless way, but it's just kind of like, there are always things, like, healing is not this boom, you deal with it and it's over. Maybe sometimes, sure, but there are levels and layers to everything. And the reality is, things come up when really we're ready to face them. For me anyway, I'll say that a lot of times when things come up, sometimes I will stuff it and I don't feel like dealing with it, even though I know it's there. But I've noticed when I do that, I feel weighed down, and I feel, I don't know. Yeah, I feel really weighed down by it. And then ultimately what it does is, if I let things linger too long, because I'm not saying, oh, immediately when I feel something, no, sometimes I do stuff it and don't feel like dealing with it. But I do know that when I let things linger too long, it starts bleeding into other areas of my life. And yeah, so there's just been a lot of healing that's happened in the last, I'd say, few weeks, where there's just been a lot of pain that I didn't realize there was there. There was things I needed to grieve. And I've talked about a little of that on this show. And then also now new things are bubbling to the surface, where I'm just like, does it ever end? Probably not this side of heaven. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just, but what I noticed that also is things that I'm like, okay, I'm in a good place in that area. Then somebody comes in my life, and it's like, I have had a lot of conversations in the last few weeks, also speaking with different women in particular, just things that I went through that the Lord more recently, like, kind of really gave me some healing and breakthrough in that area. And it's not like I wasn't trying to have healing and breakthrough all along. It's just, like I often say, there's layers to things, for me anyway. I'm pretty sure it's like that for everybody, but I don't know. Maybe you're somebody who it only took you one time to I don't know, get over that something. And I love that for you, whoever you may be. But for me, what I've noticed is there's like, okay, level 1 of whatever, and I'm there and I'm good and I process the things that I know I need to process. Life goes by, whoop-de-woo. Then it's like level 2, level whatever. And what I've also noticed with that is that typically the further I get along in my healing journey, the more I'm dealing with things that are kind of like core lies that maybe stem even from childhood stuff or stuff that I've believed about myself or mindsets that I've had forever that just seem so a part of who I am based on whatever factors cause them to be there. That like it's weird. It's sometimes a pain. Like honestly, a lot of the healing that I've been having lately has been painful because it's been like this painfully pulling away like the parts of me, like I said, that have been there, mindsets that I've believed for years that I did not realize how they were hindering me in my relationships. And yeah, it's tied to whatever mirror. I'm just going to use that because, yeah, relationships with different people, depending how close you are, depending on what you talk about or whatever, they can be a mirror and reflect back to you the unhealthy or unhealed parts of yourself. And so, yeah, these mirrors have been a part of, because then sometimes there's like healing that needs to come because of interacting with the mirror. I love that analogy because then I think I'm gonna use that from now on, because then I don't got to tell y'all nothing. I'm gonna just call it a mirror, just because sometimes people may not want to be put out there like that. And I, want to respect that. Like when I talk about stuff with my kids, like when I've gone in depth about whatever, I will tell them or ask them or just whatever. Or even sometimes when I put, statuses on social media or whatever, I'll be like, hey, is this okay? Or, whatever. And the thing, though, is with these mirrors, like, yeah, they may have caused pain and some healing may have needed to come from the mirror, but really it's a reflection of something that was already there just below the surface or like deep down and I didn't realize it. And God in his kindness is using this mirror to reflect it to me. But again, because some of these things have been core beliefs that I'm dealing with and pain stemming from like, childhood stuff or just whatever, it has been very, very interesting but also very freeing. Like there has been a lot of freedom and a lot of breakthrough, but then there's always more, right? It's so funny. And sometimes it can feel exhausting. And I think there are times a friend of mine told me once, like, sometimes it's okay to just like put this on the shelf and be like, you know what? I know this is there right now. I'm not going to bury it. So that's different than stuffing it, but I'm going to put it over here because right now I don't feel like dealing with that for whatever, but I'm going to come back to it. So like compartmentalizing stuff, I definitely can do that. But man, I'm such an advocate for sitting there. Sometimes you really have to sit with whatever. And I've done a lot of sitting with my feelings to figure out, why do I feel the way that I feel? Why did I have that response? Why did I shut down earlier when really I should have spoke up, right? Like that's taking me back to, okay, yeah, there's unresolved stuff in the way that my relationship was, that it didn't start with him. So then it's just, there's different unresolved issues that I'm just like, life. And that's why I will never get rid of my solo episodes. Like as much as I love we'll call them the co-host series or whatever, as much as I love that, it's fun and it's getting to accomplish a goal and just put out content that I couldn't put out by myself, as much as I love that and appreciate that. man, I love my solo episodes because this is what it has always been from jump. Like, people will be on here, there, and everywhere, but for the most part, it's the solo episodes, and that'll never go away. And I, shout out to y'all that, continue to listen and have listened for years at this point, and you've gotten to see my journey, see my growth, see even me become more vulnerable, talking about things in real time. And now, like, looking at myself on camera, because I remember before when I would have episodes where I'm like kind of feeling raw emotion, because that is how I felt when I sat down, because I haven't really processed through why and then I'm like, okay, I probably need to have a conversation and tell this person, because I've noticed it's happened, not like it happened today, but it's happened a few times where I've felt it's not this dramatic thing. Nobody's telling me to shut up or nothing crazy like that, but it's just kind of like, I feel like I'm being silenced and I'm not being heard. And then the way that I feel as a result of feeling that, it honestly makes me want to shrink back and even like shut down and pull away from people and stuff like that. However, I'm doing people a disservice if I don't tell them that, hey, this is how, when you do this, it makes me feel. I'm doing them a disservice because I'm not giving them the opportunity to actually, I don't know what word I want to use. I guess be a good friend, or I don't know, like interact with me, I guess, in a way that's healthier for me, because I have to believe the best and believe that the people that are in my life want to be there. So therefore they don't intentionally want to do things that are ultimately like hurting me or whatever. I have to believe that, because if I don't believe that, why are you in my life? Right. So I'm doing them a disservice by not telling them that. But that's a level of vulnerability that clearly I need to grow in, you know what I mean? Because you have to be able to communicate your needs to have relationships that have the depth that we really need and ultimately desire as people. Like, we want to be seen. We want to be heard. We want to feel understood and then also respected as such. Like, we don't want to necessarily have relationships around us that are trying to change things about us that don't need to be changed. I'm not saying we don't need to grow, be called higher and all of that. This isn't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about things like, I like to be heard. I don't like to be cut off when I'm trying to say something, whether you think you know what I'm going to say or you don't, or you whatever. Let me say what I need to say. And yeah, but there's vulnerability that comes along with that, because sometimes there's the fear that maybe they don't care. Maybe they're going to try to invalidate your feelings. That's another pet peeve of mine. I don't like if someone invalidates my feelings. I'm not saying I should act on my feelings, but my feelings are my feelings. Like, don't try to tell me how I should feel about something. That didn't happen. I'm just giving another example. Because, like, if I tell you, hey, this is how this makes me feel, and I don't know. So there's a level of vulnerability, and then there's a level of, okay, you have to settle at the extreme that, hey, maybe this person may not care about that, and like be okay with that and act accordingly, whatever that looks like, depending on whatever. But all of that takes the vulnerability of communicating how something happened or something that's being done or whatever affects me. But I know that's an area that I need to grow in. And that's why there are mirrors that are reflecting that back to me. So yeah, that's this week. That is what I have for y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Man, this is all a part of me being emotionally healthy and healthy in relationships, as I always encourage y'all. This is why I'm transparent about my journey, because you may relate, you may, have been thinking you're the only one that's whatever. Well, I'm here to tell you, as I share my journey, no, you're not. You know what I mean? And 9 times out of 10, there are people that are in your life that are feeling similar emotions. The circumstances surrounding the emotions may be different, but emotions transcend all whatever. So I could feel rejection because of something else. Somebody could feel rejection because of a completely different thing, but we both understand what rejection feels like and that we don't like it, right? So yeah, and also make sure you are, being mentally healthy and physically healthy, and get good sleep, get workouts in. Even if it's just walking, that's just so good for my mental health. And when I'm off on that, because I've actually kind of been slipping in just a lot of disciplines that I've had to like kind of tighten up and become like more militant about things, just because I got to get back on track, and my life has felt kind of like chaotic and just, I say in shambles because it's not that dramatic, but I just am somebody that needs structure, but also needs freedom in the structure. If it's too structured on certain things, but I also need things that need to be very structured. So it's just this interesting thing that I'm really just trying to get my life together ultimately. And so, yeah, thanks for being on the journey. Thank you for listening. I love y'all so much, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for...